What's up? Good morning. Week 30. Welcome in to PB Sports Talk. Week 30. Again, time's flying. Don't know where it's going. More than halfway through a year of doing this. It's good to be with you. Got a jam-packed show today and one I've been looking forward to. We all know football is king. Hey, we all have other sports we like, but football is a year-round thing. No one, it seems, can get enough of it. There's just never been anything like it where a sport can be out of season, technically out of season, and be as almost as popular as it is in season. I mean, sure, every sport has drafts, every sport has off season, every sport has trades, something going on in the off season, but nothing at all like the NFL. So good to talk about it here in April. And with tomorrow being Easter, the draft is next week. This is a really different draft than I can recall in some previous years, and I'll get into that in great detail here in a minute. But first of all, our new segment we started last week, PB for 3. It's 3 minutes of a hard-hitting topic, something relevant or something coming, something that's going on current. It's supposed to be 3 minutes, but this one might be 5. And the reason is because it revolves around the Detroit Pistons, hometown, born and raised in Michigan, Piston fan my whole life, going way back really to the start of the Isaiah Thomas days. In 1981, I was 9 years old, and that's a long time ago. I just basically told you all my age, 52, almost 53. But they start tonight in the playoffs against the New York Knicks, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 versus 6. Real quick here about the Pistons, because these are some crazy numbers, 44 and 38. More wins this year than all combined for all of the last 2 seasons, which was 31. First time or the most wins since 2015, 2016, when they also had 44 wins. The most tied for the most since 07-08, where they had 59 wins. What's really crazy is last year was the worst season in terms of victories in the 77-year Detroit Piston history. Think about that for a moment. You went from worst to the best, or tied for the most amount of wins in basically 15, 16 years. What a turnaround. Tom Gores finally got it right with Trajan Langdon. Trajan Langdon got it right with J.J. Bickerstaff. A few years ago, they got it right with Cade Cunningham. Again, I'll admit I was wrong. I didn't think he was going to turn out to be what he is. Thought he was lazy coming out of Oklahoma State, but he's proven me wrong. He is a legitimate top 10 superstar. Yeah, you heard me. Top 10 superstar in the NBA right now, and I think he's maybe 60% reached his potential. I think he's got a lot more upside to go. So the Knicks, a lot of people think that the Pistons are going to really do well against them. I personally, as much as I'm going to be rooting for them, I personally don't think it is a great matchup for them, and here's why. The Pistons don't have a reliable number 2 scorer. After Cade Cunningham, it gets really kind of murky in terms of who can handle the ball if he's taken out of the game in any way, shape, or form. You could say Jalen Duran, but a lot of Jalen's game comes from transition. It comes as a result of Cade, comes on lobs. Jalen is not a type of guy that could create offense, right? Tobias Harris is basically your second option. That's not a solid second option. 32-year-old guy, limited, can't really put the ball on the floor. Can slash a little bit, can shoot a little bit, but again, plays off of Cade and what's going on there. Cade can't play 48 minutes, right? When Cade's off the floor, who's going to step up? There's just not a whole lot there, and I just don't think they're fully developed yet because there's just not that second and third scorer. So while I think that they're young, they're gritty, they're talented, you get in a running game with them, they can really hurt you now. And I think the Knicks know that. The Knicks got to have a lot of players, and they have multiple options that they can go to at any time in the game. Everybody knows Jalen Brunson. Everybody knows Karl Anthony Towns. Both can get theirs basically whenever they want. Brunson can get to the hole. He can do anything around the perimeter, mid-range game, long-range game, penetration, get others involved. He's a really complete player, and I still think he's growing, and this is kind of his moment to really shine. Karl Anthony Towns can do what he needs to do inside. Durant will have his hands full, and Towns can come out 25 feet and he can knock down the shots. He's going to pull Durant away from the basket. You know, when you look at guys like Mikal Bridges, very versatile player. Josh Hart, one of the most versatile players really that I could remember in a long time at 6'4", the way he could rebound. He almost has 10 rebounds per game average. And Anunoby is another guy, 18, 19 points. They got a couple guys off the bench. I think their depth will show through. The Pistons will struggle in some instances, and they will also show what I think we've all seen is it's an evolution of a hot young team. They are one of the best young teams in all of basketball. I believe they're a couple of players away from truly contending and making a run in. I think what we saw this year is the first step. Overall, 44-38. You saw upside. You saw them get to 10, 11 games over 500. At one point, end the season at 6 games over 500, which is a little bit skewed because they didn't play their players there at the end. But I think this is the beginning of it. Now, this playoff, compete, show what you can do. Overall, though, I have the Knicks winning this in 6, and there's a chance it could be 5. I know that's not what Detroit fans want to hear, but I have to come from a perspective of what makes sense. When you look at the whole picture, I don't see them having enough. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope they pull an upset and somebody else steps up, and it's like kind of a star is born before our eyes type of thing. Could Tim Hardaway step up and have a couple of big games? Sure. Could Osser step up and have some big games to be near triple doubles? Sure. But ultimately, I think the Knicks have too much. And so the Lions, I'll get to them too. The Pistons, though, I think this is a great stepping stone, and we'll look for more of a deeper run next year after a potential, nice draft acquisition and a free agent or two to really boost the scoring load. Aside from Cade. If you really put somebody next to Cade, then you really have something. I just don't think they're there. All right. There's a couple of upsets that I see happening, and one of them, I'm going to start with the Bucks, Milwaukee Bucks. I think they're primed to get beat by Milwaukee, by Indiana, excuse me. Milwaukee, I think, is primed to lose to Indiana. Damian Lillard still with the blood clot, not going to play in game 1. It's a great opportunity for the Pacers to get up 1. What I ultimately think is that the Pacers might beat the Bucks in 7. Even if Lillard comes back, he's not necessarily going to be, top of form. He's been out, 3 weeks, I think. So at his age, to just turn that on off of the medicine and everything, I wouldn't get my hopes up, Buck fans. And I also think that this might be the end of Giannis's run, to be honest with you. While he still has a high upside, and Lillard more down on the downside of his career, and not too much else besides that, it's a great opportunity for them to trade Giannis in the offseason, get a haul of picks, and give Giannis a chance to win, like a right now win and compete for 2 or 3 more titles. But he's with a rock solid contender. I don't think that's Milwaukee. So we'll see on that. All right, the big one that I think might really turn a lot of heads, and I don't know what this is. I just have a really funny feeling about this. As soon as I saw the matchup was lining up to be this way, Lakers and Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards is by far the best new to the scene. I mean, he's been around a couple of years, but new to the scene, burst onto the scene type of player to really has taken the next step and now has basically 2 or 3 more steps he can take. Well, we'll say 2 more steps, and this is his opportunity. I don't think the Lakers have an answer for him. I think he's going to be able to score 35, 40 a night. Again, that same type of question that you have with the Pistons is, can they get enough legitimate scoring from a second set of guys? And that question is up for debate. Gobert might be able to step up and have a nice series, because even though he's limited as to what he can do, and he's complementary piece, he's not a focal point of anything, but he could possibly get something like a 2010, 2012 type of thing, because the Lakers are very insufficient down low, and he should be able to clean up the glass. And who knows what can happen. I'm going to just go out and I'm going to make a bold prediction right here. If I'm wrong, I've had egg on my face before. I'll have egg on my face again. I think the Timberwolves pull a major upset. It's the story of the year. and it will be bigger than Luka, is that you got Luka and you lost. I don't think the Lakers, even if they get through this series, are going to make like an ultra deep run. I think there's plenty of strength over there in the Western Conference, and I just don't think the Lakers are going to blow through that. I think that they're going to actually lose this series, lose to the Timberwolves. Lakers lose to the Timberwolves in 6 games, potentially 7. Don't be shocked, folks. And I can also see LeBron pulling up lame again. And, Austin Reeves to me is really the X factor to that team. It's not LeBron. It's not Luka. It's really Austin Reeves. If I'm being totally honest and really digging into my basketball background there, he's a terrific player. And because these two guys dominate the ball so much, they have to realize in the playoffs that just don't sit there and hold the ball. Get Austin Reeves involved, because as Reeves goes, the Lakers will go. But Timberwolves in 6, potentially 7. All right, there it is. PB for 3 went extra long. Sorry about that, everybody. All right, NFL, let's get to it. Let's pop this bad boy up here on the screen. If I can get it up here. Let's see. All right. Titans at 1, Browns at 2, Giants at 3, Patriots 4, Jaguars 5, Raiders 6, Jets 7, Panthers 8, Saints 9, Bears at 10, and then the Lions first round pick at 28. I'll touch on that. There's one guy I had targeted on the first part, or the first 1.0 mock draft, and I think they're zeroing in on him. I also think that they might make a big trade and surprise a lot of people. I'll get to that in a moment. All right. Before I get to the first pick, there is so much that can be moved here in the top 10. And from my 1.0, which was basically 3 to 4 weeks ago, several are the same. There are a couple that are different just based on meetings and workouts and such, and some shift in that. And again, these 10 picks are a combination of who I think that those teams will pick, what their needs are, and then what I would do. And I kind of just take that and formulate that into the top 10. It can vary a little bit. I think I'm pretty much right there on the 10, but a couple of the guys can go to different places. But these are not all necessarily what I would do. All right. And I'll explain as we go. So, excuse me, with the first pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the Tennessee Titans select Cam Ward. Now, I did not have Cam Ward in this spot in my 1.0. I think that Cam Ward, and again, I've said this on multiple shows in the past, there might not be a player in college football that I watched more than Cam Ward during this past college football season. I saw him in so many different scenarios, blowout games, coming from behind, back and forth games, and everything that he can do and how he could work the ball around, what he could do, to extend the play, how he can throw from different arm angles, from his left, from his right, on the move, in the pocket. He's a really patient guy. And that might actually be a great strength of his, but it might also be one of his greatest weaknesses, because he really holds onto the ball till the very, very end, and sometimes too long, and then thinks that he can just take a step to the left or to the right after he's already held it for 3.5, 4 seconds. That's not going to work in the NFL, to try to move from one spot after 3.5 seconds. It's just that's not going to happen. And I question if he'll be able to do that, and if he'll end up being able to get through progressions, 1, 2, 3 very quickly inside of 3, 3, 2, 3, 3 seconds, and get it out through his progression. I think that there's some risk there. There's actually quite a bit of risk. And so we'll see what happens on that. But Tennessee with the need is obvious. Will Levis is not the answer. Tannehill, obviously they moved on from. So I think Cam Ward is what they would take. I with the type of talent that there is in this draft, I am not a big believer in always taking a quarterback because you have a need, when there are explosive, dynamic, franchise 10, 12, even longer, 13, 14-year type players that could potentially change the game and the way that it's played forever. I don't usually believe in taking it just because, unless it's a basically at 1 or 2 or 3, unless it's a basic no-brainer. And I don't know that Cam Ward is a no-brainer, but I do think that the Tennessee Titans are going to do this because they need to build the franchise around somebody. There is nobody else over in Tennessee that is marketable, that they can really hang their hat on. Cam Ward has some of that skill set. So we'll see what happens there. All right, with the second pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Travis Hunter. Now, Travis is legit. And this guy's got something about him that he's got a fire and he's got an I'll show you that, aside from all of his talent. And by the way, I don't believe all of this about I would quit if I can't play both sides of the ball. I just think he's pushing because he wants to play both sides of the ball. I think he wants to do that full time. I mean, that's asking for a lot. This is not college football. This is not Colorado playing weak competition. This is the NFL. And to play that amount of plays and to play it at a high level, play wide receiver on offense, and they're going to want to get him involved in multiple things, reverses and, all your routes as a wide receiver, your bubble screens. I mean, I just think they would want to use him in a variety of ways. So, he's not just going to stand out there and maybe get 6 targets a game. I think they're going to use him and hand the ball to him in certain spots, and his body's going to take some abuse. And I think if I'm being honest, he's very good at both. But my hunch tells me he's a better defensive back than he is a wide receiver. So that's yet to be seen. Cleveland as a franchise, sorry, bearded Browns, they're just in bad shape from the top down. As long as Jimmy Haslam is owning this team, I think that there's a problem there with leadership. There's historically some very bad decisions. Being from Detroit and from Michigan, we could relate for so many years doing it the wrong way, bad decision after bad decision, bad decision. William Clay Ford was a great businessman, obviously with Ford Motor Company. Jimmy Haslam, truly successful in the business world, but he's not been a good NFL owner. And he continues to make mistakes and then compound them. And Deshaun Watson and compounding him and re-signing him, and then they were hitching their wagon to him. And it's just a mess. Now, you might want to stretch and take a quarterback at this spot, but not when you have a player like this that is that dynamic. You can get a quarterback later. I don't think you need to stretch. And I had Jackson Dart at number 2 in my 1.0, but I've since changed that as the dynamics have changed a little bit. I think Travis Hunter is the pick there. All right. The Giants, boy, this is an interesting pick. They can go a number of different ways, but I see one perfect match. And so with the third pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Abdul Carter. And this dude is Micah Parsons and Lawrence Taylor put together. Little bit smaller, I think, than Lawrence, but has every skill set to be a dominant player and just be there for 10, 12 years, barring injury, be the impactful type of player that any franchise wants. And while there's some other guys to take there in that spot, and they certainly have some other needs, this is just somebody that I don't think that you can that I don't think you can pass up. And I just think that the dude can change the game. Offense is going to have to prepare for him on every single play. And I just don't think there's a whole lot people are going to be doing about it. He can, again, he's Micah Parsons, only I think he's actually faster than Micah Parsons in game speed. Forget 40 time and shuttle time and all of that. And game speed, he's it. And, the foot problem has pretty much been ruled out as a long-term thing. No surgery needed. I had him a little bit lower on the 1.0 till we found out more about his foot. And so now I have him dropping there to the Giants at 3. So interesting there. They can go a number of different ways, but I see that as you can't pass it up. All right. With the 4th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Will Campbell. Will Campbell out of LSU is a beast. This kid has the it. I think he's got the swagger. I think he's got the skill set, the talent, the foot speed, the strength. I think you could put him at right tackle or at guard for many, 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 many years. And, the Patriots have a lot of needs. We all know that. And they have invested, same pick last year with Drake May, right? 4th overall last year for Drake May. 4th overall this year. You better get him some protection. Yeah, he needs weapons. All right. He's void of top talent over there at the wide receiver position. Stefon Diggs, I don't think he's a true number one. Stefon Diggs is more a complimentary wide receiver. You can even argue that he wasn't your true prototypical number one, even when in his prime. I mean, you could have a good argument there. But now Stefon Diggs, 31, 32 years old, more of a possession guy, more of a let me be there for my young quarterback guy. I did see him the other day. I saw him in a workout. Boy, he looks quick. He looks pretty recovered from that blown out knee. But you can't pass up the trenches in this spot. Mike Vrabel, obviously, he knows that. Workman-like, build your trenches, protect your quarterback, and then build out from there. It doesn't all have to be done now. You don't have to go stretch and take a running back right now or a wide receiver right now. Will Campbell is a can't-miss guy, and I think he's perfect at number 4. All right, the Jaguars. Boy, another franchise. Shad Khan, I hope I'm saying his name right. Another one, great businessman, not a good owner. Poor decision after poor decision after poor decision after poor decision, and might have made it again. I just don't know how a franchise that has been a total disaster for so many years can go hire, what is he, 32, 33-year-old GM, doesn't have an iota experience of running an NFL franchise, and you just put him in that spot. And then you teamed him up or paired him up with a first-time head coach. It's just, it's really an odd thing. And so, with that in mind, I have a feeling that they're going to surprise some people with their pick. I really do. And so with the 5th pick, won't be a surprise to me, with the 5th pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Tyler Warren. Stud tight end out of Penn State, can do everything. Tough, physical guy, can run every route, got nice speed. He can do things even out of the backfield at a tight end position. They obviously moved on from Evan Ingram. I think that there was a plan there. I think the writing was on the wall. There is a lot of talk about Tyler Warren going to the Patriots at 4. But again, taking into consideration need, taking into consideration stylistically, who the coach's personality and what they're looking to build, I just see Tyler Warren. It's basically a team that needs most everything, needs a lot. And I wouldn't take him at 5 if I'm the Jaguars, but I just have a feeling that they're going to. I think they're, Trevor Lawrence loves to throw to the tight end. They don't really have one anymore, and this is a great one. And so I see that lining up at 5 for them. I don't see him going 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3 or 4. And so I don't think they're going to let him get past 5. So Jacksonville takes Tyler Warren at number 5. All right, the Raiders. Raider fans, my new second favorite team. Love what they're doing there. You're watching. We are witness to one of the most amazing turnarounds in progress in NFL history right now. And I'm talking, this might go faster than the Lions. I infamously, to some people, it'll be 5 seasons ago, picked the Lions to be in the Super Bowl within 5 years. This is the upcoming 5th year. As to whether I ended up being right or wrong, I think that the Raiders have an amazing chance to get to the Super Bowl even quicker than the 5 years. Tom Brady's the key to everything. John Spytek, familiar with him, learned in Tampa. I think Pete Carroll, that was a brilliant hire. Great, he's 74, but he doesn't act 74 or 73, whichever it is. Doesn't act that way. He's a live wire. He's, bring leadership, experience, respectability, credibility. And, I think there's a genuine respect there. Obviously, he knows Brady. He knows Spytek, not a new guy. Liam Cohen, it's not something that you take and put in the Raiders organization. Take Carroll there. They did groom your replacement, groom the future head coach after your contract year is up, or if something should happen sooner. And just really everything's being done incredibly well for the Raiders. And with that being said, there's a very glaring player here that a lot of people think that they're going to select, even two players. I don't personally think that they're going to take this person at this pick. This aligns with 1.0. It was the same guy I had for the Raiders in the 1.0 mock, and I have him again here. And so the Raiders, with the 6th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, select Mason Graham out of Michigan. He's pictured right here, 55, beast. Trenches again, offensive line, defensive line, move from there. People are going to say running back. People are going to say wide receiver. People are going to say Geno Smith doesn't have anybody to throw to except for Brock Bowers. Take this, take that, take Ashton Giante. No. And I'll get to why. Actually, I'll talk about it now. First, Mason Graham, top flight competition he played against, excelled at every time he was challenged. Michigan struggled this year, but he still set himself apart as a guy who could play on Sundays and can play at the highest level on Sundays, be a solid top 10 pick, be a difference maker, barring injury, for a long time. And so you really shore up a guy that can get to the quarterback at his position and bust up the middle, and the guys on the outside complimenting him and him complimenting them. I think this is a great thing for the Raiders. I think Brady knows that. Obviously, we all know Tom Brady was a quarterback, but Tom, I think, knows as well as anybody that you can put, Tom Brady behind center, and if there's nobody to protect, it doesn't matter what you can do. Protection is key on offense, and getting to the quarterback and shoring up the defensive line is obviously key defensively. And I think they will do well by getting him. I think they can swing back around in the 2nd round, and I'll hold off and talk about that person in a bit, where they can satisfy a glaring need at 37 is their 2nd pick. So Mason Graham, top flight guy. I think Michigan guy, the Brady connection Michigan guy, though I think that is lower down on the poll. He's a legitimate talent. There's a need there. He's a difference maker. He's an impact player at 6. He's not the flashy, right, running back, wide receiver in that context like the Lions did for so many years. And I think Brady understands and Pete Carroll too. They're very much like-minded that way. If you look at Seattle and you could say Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson, a couple of guys, but they won with a lot of guys that did all the dirty work when he was in Seattle. So Mason Graham over there to the Raiders at 6. All right, number 7, Aaron Glenn, former Detroit defensive coordinator. Lots of talk about this position too. I mean, there's multiple guys that they can go with. Aaron Glenn is a no-nonsense guy, and I think we all saw that in the reports coming out of New York about what he said to Aaron Rodgers. While I don't believe Aaron Rodgers' version of the story, very hard to believe anything he says anymore. There seems to be an issue no matter what, and he feels like everybody's disrespecting him. He flew across state or across the country to come to a meeting he thought was going to be very long. Aaron Glenn and the GM didn't think that it needed to be very long. And we're moving on. And so I think Aaron Glenn knows that, going to get some flashy offensive guy in this spot is not the answer to building your franchise. I don't think he's gonna do that. And so with the 7th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Armand Membou, offensive lineman from Missouri. Again, build out your trenches, protect your quarterback. I don't really believe you have one there. I just don't see Justin Fields doing it. But no matter if it's him or whoever it is, you have to have protection. You have to be able to move the ball. You can't run the ball. You can't obviously throw the ball without protection. He's basically the number 2 old lineman behind Will Campbell in the NFL draft. Most scouts have him that way. I see him that way. I saw at least about 3 full games of Missouri, and this guy he can pretty much do it all. So again, not a flashy pick, but if you're a Detroit Lions fan, neither was Penei Sewell, 4 years ago, and look at how that worked out. So again, build your guys out and then build around offensive, defensive lines. All right, Carolina Panthers, another franchise, has been run very poorly at the ownership level. Just questionable moves across the board. The Bryce Young experiment, then the benching, bring in Andy Dalton. Let's see, is this going to work? Then he came back second time around, and he produced a lot better. People are going to say, he needs weapons, this and that. And I agree. They have needs, multiple needs, and you're not going to fix them all at 8, but they're going to get some help here. And so with the 8th pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the Carolina Panthers select Taita McMillan. We'll say Taita for short. I could make a legitimate argument, and I think I have a great case to say that he is the best wide receiver in this draft. I'll basically say him and Hunter are pretty much lockstep, but I have Travis Hunter being more of a defensive back than I have him being a wide receiver. That a lot of people would disagree with that. Taita McMillan is a difference maker. He can do it all. He has the size, he has the speed, he has the hands, he has the route running ability, and he has some of the attitude required. He can make a lot of the catches that you're not supposed to make too, right? So he can make a quarterback better. And what does Carolina have such a question about? At the quarterback position, Bryce Young, his height, he's got to get balls out before defensive linemen come in. He's looking up at offensive linemen. It isn't like a guy who's standing 6'5" can see over guys and can just zip, 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 zip. Bryce Young has to really depend on getting the ball out, up, and over, and more so throwing it to a spot maybe than a lot of other quarterbacks would. And he needs wide receivers that can make him better. And I think that McMillan can do that. Adam Thielen was a possession guy. But Adam Thielen's a great route runner, and Bryce Young was able to get the ball to a spot knowing that Thielen would be there and had him covered. And so Taita McMillan, short, medium, long, he can do it all. You really can't go wrong at that pick. There are some other guys you could take there, but based on need, based on talent, based on everything McMillan can do. And I noticed him a couple of years ago. It wasn't even last year. It was the year before, really, that he stood out to me. Even statistically, I thought not this past year, but the year before was much, much better. And I'm like, who is this guy? And here he is. So I got Taita going 8 to Carolina. All right. Boy, there's all kinds of talk here too at 9. What do the Saints do? This whole Derek Carr thing, to me, this it doesn't add up. If he had a shoulder injury, how was it just found out like less than 2 weeks ago? How did nobody know this? It seems suspicious. They spent a bunch of money. They re-upped him. You didn't re-up him and pay him that money to be a number 2, right? Why would you do that? One of two things I think happened. Either the injury was legitimate, they didn't tell anybody, and it got worse in some fashion, and now then they were stuck and they had to come out and say it. That's one option. What I think is the other option, what I think is the option that is the real reason, is I think New Orleans had a change of heart in the process, and Mickey Loomis has been unsteady at best for years now. He hasn't done his job very well for New Orleans, and I think that they committed the money to David Carr and then rethought it. And I think they rethought it based on some of the things they saw during workouts and how they thought maybe the draft was going to fall to them. And I think it's pretty clear to me that they've made a decision to move on from Derek Carr, and that somehow, some way, they're going to move him. I don't think he's going to be their backup, and I don't think he's going to be their starter. And if he is their starter, it's short term. I think they've let him know that. This is just my opinion. I think they let him know that they want to go into a different direction. I think that plays into it as well. And Carr said, all right, fine. If that's what you want to do, I don't want to be here, and I'm, more closer to the end of my career than the beginning of my career. And so I want a chance to start. And I think that that's mutually been discussed. Wouldn't shock me if he is somehow traded on draft day. There's a lot of teams, 15, 16, 17, once you get past the top 15 quarterbacks that need a guy. He's a guy. He's not a game changer. He's not a game maker, but he's above average. Think of him a lot, and I actually think Geno Smith is a better quarterback than him. But think about him like a Geno Smith type of guy that can go to a franchise that is kind of middling, and they need to just get some stability there, the experience and leadership. And I think Derek Carr's that guy, but I don't think he is for the Saints anymore. And so with the 9th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, I have Jackson Dart going to New Orleans. Did not have that pick in 1.0. In fact, I had Jackson Dart going to Cleveland at 2. But I think that they've steered away from the quarterback, and with Ward going up to 1, I just think that they're going to wait it out. None of the other teams there, Patriots at 4 don't need a quarterback. Jacksonville at 5 doesn't need a quarterback. The Raiders, I don't think they're going to take that quarterback. They obviously got Geno Smith. The Jets, they went and got Justin Fields, so that's not 8. Carolina's Bryce Young, so they're not taking him. And so who falls to you at 9 based on all the Derek Carr stuff that I think surprised everybody because it really came out of left field? And people are going to say Shedeur Sanders. There is talk about Shedeur Sanders to them. I'm on record saying I do not believe that Shedeur Sanders is going to be even an average NFL quarterback. I think it's a hype machine. I watched him at least 2 to 3 games solid. One of the more that I watched, like Cam Ward. I saw a lot of his play. I think it was questionable at best at the college level. Questionable opponents for him at Colorado. Travis Hunter really made him look good, holds on to the ball too much, runs backward too much. I just don't see him being a top 10 pick, and I don't see New Orleans building their franchise around Shedeur Sanders. His attitude, I think the baggage that comes with it, the publicity that comes with it, I just don't think that that's a guy you want leading your team, particularly these teams that are higher profile, up in the top 10. Why would you take that risk? And he's being talked about going to the Steelers too. And do you really think, okay, let's just call this what it is to stay on Shedeur Sanders. Do you really think that Mike Tomlin is going to deal with Shedeur Sanders? I don't see that either. But let's talk Jackson Dart. I have, through this whole process, I actually had Jackson Dart rated higher than Cam Ward. In fact, I had Jackson Dart as my number 1 rated quarterback in this draft. And I got, multiple people after 1.0 draft were like, what are you talking about? People putting clown faces and all the time. I think this kid's the real deal. I really do. I really, really do. He's already moved up draft boards. I think I watched him with Lane Kiffin. I talked about it in the 1.0. He's been schooled. He's a tough kid. This guy cares. I mean, you saw him in the game where he kept having a chance to come back. Was it Alabama? I can't remember who they were playing, but he kept on making a mistake, and you see him just take it and wear it on the sidelines. He wants it so badly. He progressed in his time at Ole Miss. He can make every throw. He's got the moxie. He's got the pocket presence. He has the leadership ability. He has the toughness, make every throw. He's smart. He can go through every read, every progression. He can get the ball out quickly. I think he can do it all. And he's a terrific long thrower of the ball, too. I don't think he even gets enough credit for that. Didn't really happen this year like it did the year before. He had a lot more of that. But I think he's a perfect fit for New Orleans. If you can get Olave back healthy, and I still got Kamara there, a couple of pieces. I think he's a guy that franchise could rebuild around. You could think a lot of Drew Brees, even a Bo Nix type of guy in this mold. Very, very similar to both. I would say he's more similar to Bo Nix, though, than he is to Drew Brees, in the fact that he can move a lot more than Drew Brees did. And a lot like, maybe not as much, but a lot like Bo Nix, closer to Bo Nix mobility-wise than to Drew Brees, but very similar in leadership and style and smart and tough and all of those things. I think he's the perfect fit for that. Let me get here 1 second, because the Bears fans, I know that they're rip-raring and ready to go on this bad boy. Bear with me 1 second here. I just got to move something around. Bears fans have been waiting for this moment. Man, I just think I just think the Bears fans are going to be super happy about this. And a lot of people don't think that this player is, there we go. A lot of people don't think that this player is going to be available at this spot, but I tend to think that. And he's a great player. There's no doubt about it. Come on now. Sorry about that, guys. This guy's a terrific player. There is some talk and a chance that he can certainly slip. Or not slip, well, that he can slip to 10, but that there's a lot of teams that would take him in the spot earlier. And my little graphic is not going to pop up. I got some spinning going on. Man, there's always technical difficulties. All right, hopefully that warms itself up there in a moment. So with the 10th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select, ready guys? Ashton Giante. People believe he's the best running back in the NFL draft. He is no question talented. The entire offense at Boise State, you see him there on the screen, number 2. For those of you who don't know, he can do everything. He's strong, tough, great burst, tremendous hands, great vision, can hit the hole. He can take the ball. He's explosive. He can take the ball. And even some of the ways that he looks so stocky like that, he's got great explosion, low center of gravity even, and he really can do it all. And I think he's going to be really good out of the backfield. Ben Johnson's style of offense, Caleb Williams, boy, does he need help. That's another topic for another day, and we'll see if Caleb Williams can really do what he's supposed to do. But Ashton Giante will go a long way in helping that team. The Bears been super aggressive in the offseason. They've done things to shore up both sides of the ball. And I don't see them passing him up unless, obviously, unless somebody jumps ahead, or somebody, in the 9 picks before takes him. He's worthy to go to some spots. A lot of people think he's going to the Raiders at 6. I personally don't. I think that would be a mistake. And so I see Giante heading to the Bears. Let me try one more thing here and see if I could get this. It's always bugs, right? All right. We'll have to come back to that. So the Bears, Giante at 10. They're not letting him get past 10 if he gets to them. He's a good fit for what they're doing. But I personally think that Trevion Henderson from Ohio State is pretty equal to him. And that's why I have Mason Graham at 6 and not Giante at 6, because 6 and 37 they pick. Most people believe that Henderson's going 28 to 32. That would require, obviously, the Raiders to move up. But based on how the board falls to you, I think you can end up with Mason Graham and with Trevion Henderson and get very much a Ashton Giante type of player. Trevion Henderson can do everything Giante can do, and he might even be a better blocker. Great vision, explosion, tremendous out of the backfield, could take a flare and go 80, toughness, vision, all of it. And I just don't see why you would take Giante at 6 if you're the Raiders. You could make an argument that it's too high for the Bears, quite frankly. I know that's only a 4-pick difference, but that's high when there are still some other guys there that you can take and swing back around and get a guy like TreVeyon Henderson. The running back draft board is pretty deep. So let's recap here. And sorry about that, guys. I'm still spinning over here. Cam Ward at 1 to Tennessee. Travis Hunter from Colorado to the Browns at 2. Abdul Carter, Penn State stud, to 3, or number 3 to the Giants as Shedeur Sanders talk. Can you imagine Shedeur Sanders in New York? Ugh. Will Campbell out of LSU to the Patriots at 4 to help solidify that offensive line, give Drake May protection. Number 5, the Jaguars. I just see them stretching a bit, though he's a worthy top 10 pick. They have a higher level of needs than Tyler Warren, but I see them taking him at 5. Mason Graham, sticking with the 1.0 mock there. I see Mason Graham clogging up the middle there for the Raiders at 6. Armand Membu, Missouri offensive lineman, going to the Jets at 7. Tatum McMillan going to Carolina Panthers at 8. Jackson Dart, who I personally think is the best quarterback in this draft, going 9 to the Saints. Ashton Giante, who you do not see listed there, going 10 to the Bears. That rounds out the top 10. All right, Lions fan. So they can go a couple of different ways, and I think it's going to be focused on defense. I really do. I had it at 1.0, and I'm going to stick with it at 2.0. I think Jack Sawyer is going to be a Detroit Lion. I think he's going to be the guy on the opposite end of Aiden Hutchinson. Very much a Aiden Hutchinson type of clone. Size, speed, toughness, leadership, explosive, playmaker, all of those. And we saw that in the game against national championship game. He just has a level that I think fits perfectly at the NFL level. And quite frankly, there's a chance he might not be at 28. But I think that the Lions are targeting him. I think he's way high on their board. And I think it's a perfect fit for what they do schematically, defensively, need-wise. Boy, would he look amazing opposite side of a healthy Hutchinson. Aleem McNeil's going to take a minute there in the middle, a DJ Reader. And I think it's a perfect fit. And I think the Lions might maneuver a little bit to get him. I think he's way, 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 way up on the board. So Jack Sawyer to the Lions at 28. All right. So I posted this the other day, and hey, we all have our players that we like. We all have our players that we say, wow, we get attached to them a little bit. We say, wow, how could I think this way? How could I possibly let go of this guy? So the Lions have a whole bunch of issues financially that they're looking at. And that's the price of being good. And that's the price of bringing in a lot of young guys at the same time are all up from their rookie contracts at the same time. And if you hit on a bunch, that helps you. But the downside is you have to pay them. And, if you're not prepared to pay them, or you can't find the flexibility in your cap to pay them, then they can command the money elsewhere. So you have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to be up. You have Jack Campbell that's going to be up. You have Laporta that's going to be up. You have Jameson Williams that's going to be up. You have Brian Branch that's going to be up. And you have to make a decision on who it is that you're gonna get behind, and who is it that you're gonna let go. Who is it that's more easily replaceable? Now, of those guys, there's two positions that I think are most easily replaceable. That's tight end and wide receiver. Okay. And you could make an argument, are they going to pay Laporta? Should they pay Laporta? A good friend of mine makes the argument that he doesn't see them keeping Laporta. And I really don't want to lose Jameson Williams. And I totally respect that opinion. I could see that. When you have an explosive guy like Jameson Williams, like that doesn't grow on every tree. And a guy that can make plays, at any time of the game and go 80. And I think Deshaun Jackson from a few years ago, and he's even faster, I think, than Deshaun Jackson. So you got to make a decision. I think it comes down to Laporta or Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams, I think, is going to be the guy that the Lions move on from. Part of it is the mistakes that he continues to make, both on the field and off the field. I don't know if the maturity level is there. My friend said that, Laporta was a lot like Hockenson, and they moved on from Hockenson. I actually think Laporta projects to be better than Hockenson, but I get it. I totally get, investing the money at the tight end position versus the wide receiver position. Like, why would you do that? I get it. But you got to look at the guy too, and you got to look at the value that you could get in return if you can make a trade on draft day. And Jameson Williams versus Sam Laporta, I think, gives you a greater return in a trade, a bigger haul, if you will, than a Sam Laporta. So while they're not both up, when you have to make that decision today to pay either of the two, like today, I don't think it's just a, hey, we do or don't want to pay this guy. It's, hey, if we unload this guy where the value is at its peak and we're not faced with a position where our leverage is gone, and man, we can't command as much of a haul now because teams know that we need to either pay him or get rid of him, who's going to trade you in that moment? Whereas if you're making him available behind the scenes right now and you're working quietly with a couple of teams on draft night to trade him or thereabouts, maybe shortly after the draft, prior to the season, I think now's the time to trade Jameson Williams. It's hard for me to even say that because I loved him at Alabama and I loved how he's progressing despite the mistakes. I love how he's progressing with the Lions, and he's a take the top off the defense guy. And they're not always easy to find. I got that. I get it. But what I think you could get for him in return, I think you could get two plug players right now of very good stature. And I think you can get a number one. I really do. And I hate to say this, but you could think the Raiders. You could think Raiders on this. That there are teams out there that really need a guy like this and that have some capital to move around, and they might not be all picks, not for this year, but future picks. And it's just a reload philosophy. You can't pay everybody. And if you're good enough to draft a whole bunch of really good guys that are all pro type level performers, this is part of it. Lions fans, and I've got some of the colors on today, we're not used to this. We're not used to, in this cap type of era like this, having this many good guys drafted where you had to take care of St. Brown and Penei Sewell and, Laporta and Jameson and Brian Branch and Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, at some point, you just can't. It's not possible. You have to think of the future, and you have to think, what can we do with and what can we do without in the short, medium, and long term? And I think Jameson Williams is that guy who's going to cash in some value for you. So I think I think we might see that, and there's a chance I think we could see that on draft night. A lot of people are going to be disappointed. A lot of people are attached to him because of just the wow factor of what he can do, and I don't think we've seen the best of what he can do. And if we did let go of him, whether it's now or whether it's after his pick up his fifth year, I still don't think, if he keeps his head right, I still don't, and stays healthy, I still don't think we will have seen the top end. He will still have more to go, but that more to go costs a lot of money. See Myles Garrett and Trey Hendrickson and all of those types of guys. You can't pay everybody $40 million. I think the Cincinnati Bengals made a massive mistake. I got crushed online about that with Bengals fans. I don't know. You pay Burrow, you pay Higgins, you pay Chase all that money. Now you can't get Hendrickson signed. And not only that, you are so void of enough talent on defense that even if you sign Hendrickson, you already had Hendrickson last year. And yes, they had some injuries. They're going to get a couple guys back, but the liability, the weakness of the Cincinnati Bengals is not offensively, it's defensively. And while I love T. Higgins, and I know they do, and I know Chase does, and I know Burrows does, you're paying those three guys 126 million, I think it is, of a $270 million cap. I mean, it's simple math. It doesn't add up. You got to have room for other spots. And I think it might be 132. I don't have the number in front of me, but that's a lot of money to tie up, and the Lions can't do that. You can't have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, and Jameson Williams plus Gibbs in the backfield plus Goff. It's craziness. It's total craziness. You got Aiden Hutchinson's going to be up. Hello. I mean, you're going to go pay Myles Garrett that kind of money, $40 million a year. Trey Hendrickson wants 34, 35, 33, something like that. You're going to pay him that kind of money? Long as Hutchinson comes back healthy, and it was a bone break, thankfully, bones heal. Ligaments don't always heal the same. Should be able to come back to his form and continue to ascend. You're paying him 40, if not 43, $44 million. He's more valuable to any team right now than Myles Garrett is. It's simple. So look for Jameson Williams to potentially be traded, and I would be for it because he's going to bring the greatest amount in return. All right, so last year, people probably saw my videos got quite a bit of views. I was able to hit, right on with Jaden Daniels. He was far and away the best quarterback in the NFL draft from last year in terms of performance. Caleb Williams, I still think there's an issue. They're going to have to surround him with all sorts of weapons because I just don't think he's a good decision maker. Bo Nix, I said some things about, and boy, did he come through. Perfect marriage with Sean Payton. And now, speaking of Jacksonville, with Evan Ingram over there, that is a true weapon for him and that system. The way that they call, the way that they play, the way that Nix thinks, that is a great pickup. Brock Bowers, that's not, any crazy thing. Everybody knew Brock Bowers was going to be a star. And Geno Smith is certainly going to like him in Las Vegas. Malik Neighbors, I had as my best receiver, but I also said Rome Odunze, which ironically enough, Antoine Randall, another former Lions coach, comes out this week and says that he had Rome Odunze number 1 on his board at wide receiver last year, including ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. I don't know if I would go that far. Marvin Harrison Jr., the jury is out on him. That's why I said Neighbors was better than him last year, though I thought Harrison was worthy of a top pick. I had no problem taking Odunze before Marvin Harrison. And so those were last year's stunners and I don't know if they call them stunners, but guys that were real keepers and wow, this is going to really be a player. And, looking back, did I end up being right or did I end up not? And so this year, I think you can look at number 9 there is Jackson Dart. I think, again, that he's going to come out of this, and system matters too, right? Where the person lands, what weapons they have, or what coach they have, right? So you take Bo Nix and you put him on another system without Sean Payton, his growth trajectory is going to take longer than getting with a mastermind like a Sean Payton. You put him with a Liam Cohen, or you put him with, some of these other guys that don't have as much experience. It might get there, but probably going to take longer. So Jackson Dart doesn't have the same luxury in New Orleans as Bo Nix had with Denver. However, I still think the kid has all of it. It's an inside, it's a dome stadium, I think can really help him. Chris Olave, poor guy's been through so many concussions. I really, truly hope he's all right. I mean, literally knocked out type of concussions. I think I saw 3 of them myself, and I hope he's healthy and can do it. The Saints obviously going to move on from Derek Carr, I think, and Jackson Dart's perfect guy to build your entire franchise. Character guy, good face of a team, has every skill set you can possibly ask for. Again, my number 1 rated quarterback on the board. So I think Jackson Dart will go in my 2025 class, much like or similar to a Jaden Daniels did. Cam Ward fits more in the mold of Caleb Williams, though I think Cam Ward has potential to be a better NFL quarterback than Caleb Williams. We'll say Mason Graham at 6. I think stud. He's got stud written all over him. Abdul Carter, that's no surprise. I just think Abdul Carter, again, Micah Parsons, Lawrence Taylor type of guy. Interestingly enough, I have him going to the Giants. LT's home. I think he's going to be just superstar. Jack Sawyer, I think, is going to be in there. He's not listed there at the Lions at 28 because my damn system is spinning. But Jack Sawyer, I think, is an absolute can't miss guy. I think he could go ahead of 28. Lions, I want to see them get him. This guy's going to be the real deal. And then the one I think that probably is going to stand out most for me in 2025, like some of the guys did in 2024, is TreVeyon Henderson. I've been locked on him for a while. And you got to remember what he did in a dual back system in Chip Kelly's offense. It's like if he was a focus of an offense, he would be way higher than a projected early second round guy. And so like you got to kind of see through that. If he played for Boise State, we'd be having the conversation about where is Giante going? Is he going 3? Is he going 5? Is he going, 6? Is he going to the Raiders at 6? And no one's talking about TreVeyon Henderson. His metrics, all of his, everything about him is basically the same as Giante. It's just the profile isn't the same. Profile in terms of playing for Ohio State is a much bigger profile than playing for Boise State. Don't get me wrong, but an entire offense centered around the guy, and dude's getting 250 yards a game in like a horrible conference, but a nice offensive line with a decent quarterback, pretty well coached out there, and they centered it around him. So you're getting that much yardage. You see the talent. It's it's legitimate, but it's legitimate for Boise. There's a lot of running backs you put in that situation would perform the same, and their draft stock would be higher. So I think TreVeyon Henderson and Jackson Dart are the two guys that are going to shine through, along with Jack Sawyer, are going to shine through in terms of players that are going to be really good. The one guy that I do not think equates to the NFL, I have said it ad nauseum. I've got a guy over in Cleveland that says, how can all of these draft guys at Our Lads and McShay and all these different guys, the Ringer, how is it that they can have him rated so highly and you don't? And it's pretty simple. He's got the wrong attitude. I don't believe he can lead a team. I think that he has been a hype storm and smoke and mirrors from his father. I don't think he possesses NFL intangibles. I don't think he possesses NFL skill. I think at best he's second string backup. At worst is third or out of the league. I'll take a lot of shit for that, but I don't care. I see it. It's so clear to me that he doesn't equate. And why would you risk any one of these top picks in the top 10? And he's been projected, and now he's not going to the draft, which now I understand that Jackson Dart isn't going to the draft either, which is pretty shocking to me. I think Shedeur Sanders is not going because, boy, a Sanders guy sitting in the green room and the camera being on him and not being picked. There's no way Deion was going to let that happen. There's no way Shedeur is going to let that happen. Jackson Dart stepping away from the greenhouse, unless this is some new thing that more of the high profile guys don't go. Usually when you don't go, it's somebody who's really quiet, doesn't like the limelight, or it's somebody that doesn't want to end up like Aaron Rodgers and just drop and fall and fall and fall and fall. And is he going to get picked? And no, I don't see him getting picked for 5 picks. That's exactly the way this lines up for Shedeur Sanders. He's not going 1. He ain't going to Cleveland at 2. You're not taking him. The Giants would be crazy. New York and Shedeur Sanders, I mean, that just doesn't work. He's not going to New England. He's not going to Jacksonville. I don't think Tom Brady would invest as an owner, sign off on Shedeur Sanders being the leader of your franchise. It doesn't work with Pete Carroll either. The Jets at 7, Aaron Glenn, he's not putting up with that. 8, Carolina, Bryce Young, you're not doing that. Is he going to go to New Orleans? I suppose it's possible. But if it's me, I'm taking Jackson Dart. If you want to make a decision to go for a quarterback, I'm taking Jackson Dart 100 out of 100 times over Shedeur Sanders at 9. Bears are obviously not taking him at 10. So I see him slipping big. I see the potential of a second, third guy. And ultimately, I could see him out of the NFL. He will get drafted. I said for, months. He is nothing inside of a fourth round pick. He's a flyer type of guy, the way I see it. Attitude, but the skills are not there. And at this level, and not as a starter. And guy from Cleveland made an argument, maybe he's good enough to be that 15 to 18 type of quarterback. I suppose, but teams signed Joe Flacco before they signed guys like Shedeur Sanders. How many times did the Baker Mayfields of the world that get in there and learn and turn it around and be effective? Look at how many stops for him. There's so many guys, Jamarcus Russell, Akili Smith, Joey Harrington. I mean, the list is just holy. Tim Couch. It's endless. It doesn't matter if you gave those guys a second place. Well, Joey Harrington had a couple places, but if you give those guys a second place, they just don't have Johnny Manziel. They just don't have the ability at the next level. And Shedeur Sanders, I see that as being that. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I'm looking forward to next Thursday, and it's really some versatility in this draft, unlike many others. Normally you can say, hey, the top 7 is boom, 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 and it would really take a surprise. There are some guys that can move around here. I have a couple here that are not consensus. So we'll see how it works out. All right, you can become a sponsor on the show. It is growing. I put the package out last week. I have a couple committed. Wasn't in time to get everything set up and done for this week. Probably see a couple of that next week. But there are still some spots available. Presenting sponsor is still available. Live reads on the show where I would have segmented this more in 15 minute, 15 minute, 15 and 15. I would do a live on-air read, 60 to 90 seconds about your company, about your product. Would be definitely highlighted. The ticker on the bottom. I believe after next week, there's going to be 3 available. That scrolls, as you can see, it continuously scrolls. It's live now, but these shows get cut up into all sorts of different parts: 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, and then they go all over on all the different platforms, and they get tens of thousands of views. The good ones. I hope to continue to get better at this and have some ones that really get out there and hit, and particularly in the shorts. But a short's 1 minute, a short's 2 minutes, and this ticker does not take 2 minutes to go through, so it's constantly repeating. If our website, a little bit outdated, that will be be updated here pretty soon, pbsportstalk.com. And to inquire about sponsorships, reach me, Paul, at pbsportstalk.com. Happy to entertain questions. We'll see if it's a fit, if there's synergies there, if it's a product that can go around the globe is certainly a great avenue, because these shows go on social and around the globe. I get an interaction from all over the country, from Vegas and Raider fan to even not in Vegas. There's Raider fans all over the country, but people out of the country I have conversation with. So if you have a product or you have a service that equates to some of what you believe are the listeners or viewers of this show at this point in time, as it's at a lower level, working to grow the PB brand, what a great time to get involved. And I will push your product. If I believe in your product, and I wouldn't, have anybody come on the show if I didn't believe in your product, I will talk your product up in everything that I do based on the level that you have. And I'll always give extra shout outs, and I'll always support those who are a part of the PB team. And as we grow, you grow. As you grow, we grow. And we'll do it together. So look forward to hearing from you. Again, reach me, Paul, at pbsportstalk.com. Piston fans, let's get it locked in tonight. Again, I have them losing in 6 to the Knicks as a great stepping stone going forward. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully Cade lights it up for 50 every day, every game, and they can hold Brunson and Karl Anthony and Josh Hart down. We'll see what happens. So that's a wrap for this week. Looking forward to next Thursday as well. Can't wait. NFL, it never is down. It's always in season is the way I see it. And so looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to the Lions at 28. Again, Pistons at 6 o'clock tonight Everybody have a great weekend. Have a happy Easter. And always remember, hold someone, hug someone, love someone. So important. Life is short. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.